Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is an award presentation of the Alan Ponak Best Student Paper Award, and it's part of the ILERA2020, which is the 10th annual or 10th International Labor and Employment Relations Association Regional Congress of the Americas. And we are having our award presentation online this year because we've gone to a virtual conference. But we really want you to get to know our award winners. And so this is one in our series of our award presentations, and you can check out the other ones in the program. So today we are talking to Assaf Bondy, and he is the winner of the Alan Ponak Best Student Paper Award. And this award was founded by Alan Ponak, who is an arbitrator and a Professor Emeritus at the Haskayne School of Business at the University of Calgary, and is well known to the Canadian industrial relations crowd and beyond. And it's CIRA's distinction for the best student paper presented at our annual conference. And the title of Assaf's paper is New Actors as Motors for Industrial Relations Change, Inter-Actors Conflict, and the Reformation of Central Collective Bargaining for Precarious Workers. And Assaf is here with us from UCLA, where he's a postdoctoral fellow at the Center for Israel Studies and also a lecturer in the sociology department. So hello.
Hi, nice to be here.
Nice to meet you. So Assaf, why don't you tell us about your paper in a nutshell? Give us a little summary.
All right, with pleasure. Well, my paper is an institutional analysis of the transformation in workers and to some extent also employers' representation and the further inclusion of previously excluded precarious workers into industrial relation and into collective representation. My paper is looking into the representation of precarious workers, workers that were previously excluded from union representation and more generally from industrial relations, or those whose interests and voices. And it analyzes the changes they are represented as a result of a gradual diversification of representative actors in industrial relations. While previous research has analyzed these the gradual inclusion of precarious workers as part of an allegedly autonomous revitalization of labor or of trade unions, my paper shows the conflictual relations that supersede industrial relations change. These are not only the classic cross-class conflict, but rather intra-class conflicts between traditional and new actors in industrial relations, the unions, civil society organizations, entrepreneurial lawyers, and more. In some contexts, scholars have demonstrated growing cooperation among various labor actors, but my work demonstrates that in the exclusionary context of the Israeli corporatist industrial relations, these conflicts, there are conflicts that take place between these actors. These conflicts are seen to complement union representation and produce new sector-based incentives for its change toward a more inclusive dominance of the traditional unions and employers association.
And are you using a specific group of workers to look at that analysis?
Yeah, I'm looking at both construction, non-citizen construction workers and cleaning and security sector workers, which come from ethnic minorities and traditionally marginal workers groups.
And if I understand your summary, what you're finding is that sort of the more traditional or established industrial relations actors, if you will, are kind of maintaining that dominance in that space, despite the emergence of other collective solidarities?
What I found is that these new and emergent forms of labor activism or workers' representation challenge the traditional dominant actors, pushing them to change their, let's say, repertoires of representation, repertoires of contention, and push them to improve the way they represent these workers that were traditionally excluded from collective representation.
Right, right. Which is good, which is good.
Yep, indeed.
Some elements, I'm sure there is some tension there, right? Where you think sometimes these emergent bodies push sort of the traditional body to change, and that can be seen as good, but I'm sure in some views, a more drastic change could be desired.
Well, I think industrial relations is not a field of, you know, class revolution in the historical Marxist meaning of the term, but rather of gradual reforms, gradual transformations, and incremental improvements or not for workers and employers, for labor market regulation. So yeah, there are different forms of that these reforms or incremental changes take place. In some contexts, it may take place through cooperation between new or emergent and traditional actors. In other contexts, these conflicts that are traditionally regarded as harming industrial relations and harming the interests of workers are seen nonetheless to improve their position in the labor market, to improve their position in industrial relations.
Yeah, fabulous. That's very interesting. And I'll just put a pitch out to everyone watching that Assaf, of course, is in the program. So you can have a look for his session and hear a much more fulsome account of his paper in that and in dialogue with some other papers as well. Assaf, tell me how you got here. How did you get to be interested in industrial relations, labor relations?
Well, industrial relations are fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, social conflict, its manifestations, transformation, and regulation fascinates me as it opens, in my view, an important window to our society and to the relations that take place in it. I'm interested in industrial relations as it contains one of the sharpest, it is one of the sharpest fields of social conflicts with some of the strongest means to regulate it for a better, more inclusive and equal society. Again, not in a revolutionary manner, but in a rational way. It is one of the most important fields from which to promote social change. And that's the place I started in as a union activist, a union official in Israel-Palestine, and currently industrial relations scholar.
Fantastic. Did you come up in one of the industries that you're studying in terms of a union activist, or?
Actually, yeah, I had the privilege to take part in the first attempt to unionize cleaning and security workers on a company level basis. In Israel-Palestine, we have a tradition for sectoral regulation, mainly relevant for sectors of precarious employment. Together with a group of activists, we formed a new trade union, Power to the Workers, in 2007. And I really had the pleasure and to take part in these innovative forms of unionization that are at least innovative in the Israeli-Palestinian context.
Yeah, fabulous. And it's such a great then background to your academic work as well.
Yeah, indeed.
What are you going to do next? Where do you see yourself in the next, 5 years once we're all let back out of our houses?
Well, first of all, I have a lot of research and writing work on the table, but well, I wish to see myself combining both academic and effective political roles, whether advisory or actual leadership in the field of industrial relations. As in these days of crisis, academic prospects seem a bit dubious, but I'm thinking about these perfect balance of wishful combination, trying to keep optimistic about the near future.
for sure. But I mean, that's all we can do, right?
Indeed.
Well, we are really happy to have you join us here in this, our CIRA community. It's the Canadian Industrial Relations Association is the sponsor of this award and of this ILERA conference. And we really hope to see you around, and ideally in the future, we can see you face to face. And I really encourage you to stay in touch with the group. Next year, we'll have the CIRA conference in Quebec City. And there's an ILERA conference next year as well, the World Congress, and it's happening in Sweden. So lots of opportunities for you to still hang out with us.
Thank you very much. I'll make sure to at least try to be there.
Sounds good. And congratulations again, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. You too.